Why does it look like I'm a robot up here? What's going on, fellas? Welcome to Tuesday night Professional Dads podcast tonight. Ooh, do we got a good one? Legacy? That what we got?
Under fire,
all kinds of stuff, man. I tell you what,
under fire.
The legacy under fire, which is I think, man, us as men, we kind of live under that fire. We put ourselves there on purpose. We put ourselves there by accident. Yeah, some of us live there all the time. So, so Matt's getting us shared out. Eric, how's the week, man? Matt, how's the week?
It's good.
Man,
good.
It's been great, man. I've been on cloud nine because my son got moved into another classroom today. And those small victories matter because sometimes you be like, hey, we're going to just have to tough it out. Sometimes favor just shows up when you ain't even expecting it.
True.
And, so we taking small victories. That boy was happy when he came home today.
So was he not liking the class he was in?
Well, I don't know who's listening tonight. I don't want to get in trouble. As my fraternity would say, I don't want no trouble. But no, I mean, sometimes you realize that fit is important. Even at that age, you want to try to, you can't get everything you want sometimes, but fit matters. And I'm the type of person, I believe in those milestone years, like third grade, when you have EOGs. You got to be ready for that stuff. Fifth grade, transition to middle school, eighth grade, get ready for high school. All those things might seem insignificant to some, but to his mother and I, we see that as significant. And being paired with the right teacher who, loves on them like we love on them matters. Yeah. At least it matters to us. So it was kind of cool to see 24 hours of down in the dumps on a high in less than a day. I loved it. I absolutely love it. I embrace it.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. What's going on, Devo? Talking legacy under fire tonight, baby.
Legacy under fire. Scorchy.
What's up, dude? What's up?
Yeah. Hey,
man.
C-Mac told me to tell you hello. Talk to him today.
Okay.
He said he wants to join and drop some nuggets of wisdom.
Drop a whole bushel. That big fat head.
Hey, so what does legacy mean?
Matt, are you a priest?
I might be.
He looks like
Matt, he's got the little.
I like it.
You're pulling the priest out. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Last week. Yeah. What does legacy mean to y'all?
I think it's what we leave, the memories, the lessons, the ideas, the thoughts, the things that we leave long after we're gone. I think things that just kind of live on, whatever that is, whether it's memories or talks or finance, like whatever it is. I think it's when we're not here anymore. What are we leaving behind? What ideas, what thoughts, what lessons, what nuggets, some people leave financial, some people leave, spiritual, some people leave, all kinds of legacies behind.
Yeah. Who else? Yeah. I think I talked to you guys, whether it was last Tuesday or the one before, when we was talking about the boys. Like I sat them down and was like, hey guys, the thing that's most important to me is that you develop habits. You got to develop these habits where you just got to, at the point when, whether it's they're getting ready to graduate from high school, go off to college, or when they finish college to get into their first job, I need them to be able to launch. Many times I've seen, whether it's been one or two former athletes or just, young people who just seem to embrace having mom and dad to swoop in and make decisions for them, full grown, but still make decisions for them. Why do I have his hold on my account? Well, I didn't do what I was supposed to do as far as get my classes signed up, or I got in trouble or whatever, got a hold on my account. I need somebody to come pay my bill so I can register for classes. It's like, come on now, we need you to be able to launch. And so not throwing shade, but just looking at it in my household, I need the boys to be able to develop habits and to be able to do it repetitions over time that when I'm gone, they got that on autopilot. Certain things that they just know how to do on autopilot. So beyond just the financial things you can teach them, obviously some spiritual things that you want to leave them that will create the type of men or young men they'll become. It's really just a cumulative of habits that they've created where they can become self-sufficient and just launch and be men with their backs up straight and can lead. And it expands to the next generation, whether I'm here to see their children or not, or their children's children, then I know that I did my part, Erin did her part, and we created some safe habits for them to be able to launch.
Yeah. And Eric, not to stay on you or keep picking on you, but you just went through the health scare, right? So you had that day where you literally sat down and wrote out a list, right?
Yeah, I did.
Did you have that thought? I know you were doing it for Aaron and you wrote out the list for Aaron, but did you have that thought for your boys? Like, have I done everything to prepare these two young men?
Not at all. Not at all. I was thinking about Mama that day. I'm just thinking about her because I know she would just freak out, just kind of feel like everything come unraveled. And it was more just to say, hey, this is just a calm little love note to say here's some steps to take, people to call.
Yeah.
You say love note?
Bullet it.
Yeah.
Follow these steps.
We still got some work to do in that area, brother.
Hey man, look, I'm telling you, pain make you think of some crazy stuff, man. You just all out in the weeds, thinking up some stuff. I'm glad I don't have to think about that no more. And the grace that you all have given me not to just laugh and because I was down in the dumps. But no, I didn't think about the boys at all. I was thinking about Mama, just thinking about her solely. Yeah.
How about you, Devo?
I don't know, Matt. I think that's such a loaded question, man. I like to phrase it, or I like to think about it in terms of like just problem solving. Like that's the legacy that I want my kids, because I know it's not going to be generational wealth. So
don't count it out yet.
Well,
you got Eric to help you with that insurance.
Let's go.
As my brother would say, I done been to the mountaintop. It's all downhill from here. So I don't know. But no, just like I think of the biggest thing is just how to problem solve, and like don't let your situation define you. Like I know a lot of people get into a situation and then start trying to figure out different ways that they want to exit the situation, but just know how to be able to dissect it all and strategically from a standpoint of what it is that you hope to accomplish, as well as what is it that you hope to learn from it. Because I believe everything can be a learning point. So just trying to couple those two things together, so that you have the resources to get yourself out of a jam, out of a situation. Because as Eric already alluded to and even documented, we're not going to be here forever, right? So we have to leave the castle to other folks to tend to, and to make sure that they've been provided the necessary skill set to persevere and carry on. um yeah, the older I get, the more sobering that question becomes, and the closer it gets to home, man. I talked to a cat who I went to college with probably about 30 minutes ago, Brent Conklin, Eric, if you remember him. But he was like, man, that thing with Sean Clark was just bad. Like, it's just, again, someone who I would say, from my fleshly standpoint, just had it all. You know what I'm saying? Who've just had it all, and then it's gone. And I don't think a lot of times we don't plan for that, but it's inevitable. And just trying to make sure that we do leave this legacy for our kids, our wives, to move on. After the storm subsides, to have the skill sets to keep this thing moving in the same direction, or even better direction.
Yeah, I mentioned to y'all before. I've told y'all this story before, but like I had to. My first assignment when I was getting my degree in counseling was to write my eulogy, and That's crazy, and yet now you're supposed to write it, then you're supposed to stand in the mirror and read it to yourself.
Whew.
And the assignment was, are you living that life? Is that the life you're living, or is that the example that you're putting out? And I like to think that, if I live right and I do the right things for my kids and I set the right example and they fall in line because I've done a good job, that's part of my legacy, is that, they're going to be good people too,
Right.
and I hope that that's something that, I'm living each and every day. And if, I think you always got to keep looking in the mirror. We all have faults and everything, and we all make mistakes, but yeah, that's just part of it for me. Is am I living the standard? Oh, well, I mean, I look at it like this: am I living the standard that my dad lived when I looked up to him, and that he has
Yeah.
lived? And I think he's a godly man. I think he's done a really good job at raising us. Not that there hasn't been faults along the way, for sure, but he's done a good job. And so same for me, doing it for my kids.
We had a situation happen last Wednesday or Thursday. I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday, in the middle of the night. And I think Aaron saw it first. We got an email from one of Ethan's teachers in middle school. And the genesis of the email was how she was thanking us for allowing him to be a student at the school. It was like, we didn't do anything. It was just chronological order. Fifth grade, now sixth grade. We didn't think we did anything. But she just was talking about his character, and she was talking about how she was happy that he was selected as a student ambassador and all that good stuff. And so when she showed it to me and I read it, I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. So I read the email to Ethan the next day as we were heading. This was actually Thursday night because we were heading to an appointment on Friday morning. And so as I talked to him, I said, Ethan, do you know who is proud of you right now? And of course he was like, you, Mom. I said, yeah, that's true, but who else? And he was like, Jesus. I said, yeah, that's important too, but no, guess who's proud right now? He couldn't think. I said, your grandfather. He was like, what? I said, your grandfather's proud right now. He didn't even see the email, but because he was the original tree and I was the first fruit of that tree, now you are a replica of this fruit that fell from the tree that he created. And he's excited for the type of grandson that he has. And I said, now if I take it a step further, my granddaddy is proud of him for the man that he was, and the father that he was to me, and the grandson I was to him, and the great grandson that you are to him, the person that you'll never see. And so I was explaining to him this linear legacy type situation of reputation, that my grandfather, his great grandfather, he'll never know and see, was the type of man that in the community was strong and had a great reputation. And I think about my father's reputation, and I would like to be a third of that, and then what we're leaving with, obviously Ethan and Evan. And so, man, it's just this like pride. He sat up in the truck as best as he could. Was like he said, Dad, that's deep. That's deep. But I was trying to get him to understand much of what we're talking about legacy is that reputation trickles down from generation to generation. And the people who get to enjoy the fruit in this case was your science teacher. Yeah. She's like, their tree bore good fruit. I get the chance to experience that fruit every day by having you in my class. And I think when I think about that stuff with reputation, or if the next generations, you just talking about your dad, those things matter. I think equally, if you were a father of a daughter, same thing. The way you leave your legacy to your daughter is equally as important for the type of partner that she wants to attract and potentially marry. Those things are really important. So when you have those moments where you can see it for your child, but maybe you reflect back a couple of generations for dad and granddad, you start to say, wow, this thing matters, because spiritually it's like a vine. Yeah. And we hold on to a vine. The vine continues to grow. You don't have to, as the Bible says, you don't have to tell it if an apple tree is an apple tree. It's an apple tree by its fruit. And same thing, you plant in good soil, your children are going to be replicas of you because of the soil you were planted in. And so I was proud of him, but I wasn't surprised.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I'm jumping back in because you just led to something, but you just said, for my daughters, right? And not only for my daughter, but for Riley. And y'all
Yeah.
remember a couple of months ago that I put out the video for my 30th wedding anniversary.
Mhm.
Well, number one, that video was for Tisha, number one, but it was also for Braden because he needs to be a good husband to Riley. Get
Yep.
married next September 19th, everybody. Yep, that's good. And
Put it
then,
on my calendar.
yeah, that's right. And then the other one was for Danny. If he expects to marry my daughter, Megan, that's what kind of man I expect him to be. And have I been perfect along this way with, Tisha and as a husband and a father? No, it's like, we go through our ups and downs. We'll just leave that for a different show. But, I mean, it's part of marriage and everything like
Yep.
that. But yeah, it's here we are 30 years in going stronger than ever, and, I want them to see the example and say, hey, watch this video. This is where we started and where we're at,
Yeah. I think that you were talking about looking in the mirror too, and that lineage. I think we're talking about being under fire. Like I think we put a lot of that stuff on ourselves. I mean, we've talked about that before, just about that weight that just dads carry, but that we put on ourselves. Like, man, messed up, or I screwed up, or I wish I would have done this. And the amount of times looking in the mirror, whether it's tears, not tears, yelling at ourselves, critiquing ourselves, it's tough. I think, and then you have the world and the weight and everybody else in our life that can, put that weight on it too. You want to be, like I said. I mean, I've said it before, and I've heard it. Like, your dad is the only the only man that wants you to be better than him. Everybody else wants to be better than you. He's the only one that wants you to be better than him. And when you try to pass along some of those the good things that you've learned. Noticing obviously that, I'm not my dad and my dad's not me. My son's not, all those things. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pressure. The world changes, and what our kids have thrown at them now that we didn't, and trying to figure out what they're going to keep and what they're going to, our legacy is going to be and what's going to pass down to them. They're going to probably pick up things that we wish they wouldn't pick up. But obviously trying to give them the best that we can. So it's tough. It's tough putting ourselves under fire, under that microscope all the time.
Yeah.
As long as we fail forward.
Yeah, fall forward. That's right.
Fall forward, for sure.
Another question. We'll go to you, Devo, on this one, right? Kind of values you personally, what kind of values have you tried to instill in your daughters?
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm just coming under conviction here lately, just about like, um, oh my gosh, so much, man. Um, been listening to Michael Todd, and one of the things that he was saying was, our kids aren't ours, man. That's God's gift that He entrusted you with, right? And so I just apologized to my oldest Sunday night. I was like, look, I'm sorry. Like, I try to beat you over the head with my logic and why I want you to do X, Y, and Z. And in my mind, it makes sense. But like, I have to allow her to live her life. I have to allow my middle child and my youngest child to live their lives. And you want to infuse that um you want to infuse values within them, but you want to let them kind of grow and live and develop on their own too. And just know that God's got the bigger picture, and He already knows how this thing's going to end, right? So instead of just riding that dead horse, sometimes you have to get off and allow other life experience to happen in order for them to be the person who God has ordained them to be. Now, that doesn't answer your question whatsoever. but but like me, what I'm realizing is I haven't always lived out or been the best model of what I wanted my kids to do. Um, sometimes I would talk out of both sides of my mouth, right? And just making sure your actions align with your words, I think is extremely important. Um, and so now I'm trying to check myself and say, it's not always about what Devon wants or what Devon wants to do. Like, what does your youngest want to do, or what does your oldest want to do? And make sure that you're speaking into them as well. Yeah, I really don't have a good answer for that question. As my
That's
answer would allude, I am all
Yeah.
over the
think
damn
I think you
place.
look at it like this, right? You have one out on your own, living in DC, right? And I think to me,
Uh, I got two.
I put, you got one at UNC, right?
Yeah,
And then one
but
out there at DC. Well, I guess you could say it for college too, because Josh, you got the same thing. I have the same thing, and now you got Braden and
Yep.
kids out on their own. And man, you just hope and pray that that's when it came. Not to say, Eric, you just a newbie guy, No, but the point is, when they go out on their own, man, golly, you are just like,
yeah,
it's Friday night. I mean, think about all them stories that Eric was telling us last week, coming out the closet.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yep.
I mean, like you hope you did it right. You hope you did it right.
yeah,
I think a
yeah.
lot of those things
I
too
hope
are,
that foundation is solid.
yeah, like situational foundation stuff. It's like, all right, are they going to be put into the same situation? Because we obviously think worst case scenario all the time, but the world is crazy, like all those things. So you're just like, I think as a parent, regardless of the age, you just you think up these things. Like it's a worry. It's just go and like, oh, this could or this could. But yeah, you're right. When they get out on their own, yeah, it's one of those things where you like, all right, I hope that they get something, or and I think back now, like, and you're talking about it, and Eric's in it right now, but like, man, if when Hudson starts driving, I'll probably like go like a crazy man. But like, did I teach him how to pump gas? Like, what if he runs out of gas? Or did I teach like all those things? You're like, what the heck? Like, does he know how to do that, or does he, all that stuff? But man, it's and that's the stuff you scrutinize now. We can talk about it on here, like, hey, Braden Riley, and the old, the older ones are like, okay, they can figure it out. But it's like, all right, are they figuring it out on their own? Is that something we could teach them? Did I do a good job? Did I not do a good job? I think it's just all over the place. It's just all over the place. And worry is real, especially when the kids get older and move out.
Yes, I think about this teaching values. So I have 5 core values I've rocked with for the better part of 20, 25 years of my life. I won't go through them, but I will tell you faith and family are the top 2. Faith is number 1, family's 2. I think when was exposed to App State for the first time, was going through all those trainings, RA trainings and stuff like that, you begin to add values to the things, or you explore what your values are as it shapes you as a RA and things of that nature. So I believe I probably took some things out that were more parent centered, got to college and explored and kind of try to figure out what was my own. And I added 3 more to the 2 that I probably brought to school with me based on what family drilled into my head. And so those other 3 are a part of the 5 that's been there for a while. I think where I have to, Diva, kind of hear you talking about the way you had to come at apologizing to your daughter. I kind of feel like I have to stop and just focus on the 2, the faith and family. That's my responsibility as molding my boys and shaping their values, because I can do that inside the house. I can take on the seed that I want to plant and do what the word says on the faith tip. But on the family side, it's like, I want my boys to know, I don't want you loving people outside of this house more than you love each other. Period. You can have friends, you can have new associates for school and all the other stuff, but nobody comes in between you and your brother. And I've had to send kids home in this neighborhood because I was like, they don't know how to play with each other when y'all come around. So I got to get that reset first, because they're the first and only best friends. And so those are the 2 that I'm shaping now, whether it's right, culture mocks it or whatever. And I think that's where I want to pump the brakes and then allow them after they leave to find out what the other ones are, or what the other things that they will explore as they go on. Because I could easily push education onto them, which is the third core value that I have, but that might not be something that they really value. And they may just know this, what they do in the house, because that's what mom and dad do, but that might not be one of their core values. And so I think, as I think about when we're teaching it, I think it's fundamentally okay to espouse the faith if that's what you rock with, and then let them figure out the rest. Like Devo said, certain things that you thought was the right way to go, and it was, because I actually admired how he and Heather raised their daughters.
Absolutely.
But there are things that you might just have to let them kind of add to the other one or two that you might want to ingrain in them.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's going to have a little bit to do with the next question. These are comments that we're getting, so please add comments if you got them. But you can see what Amy said, and then we're going to kind of come back to your point. But Amy said, do you guys feel that legacy from dads is somehow different than legacy from moms? Well, that's a tough question. I really don't see it as any different. I think that, the things that my mom, we talk about dads because we're talking about a professional dad, podcast here. But and I think me and my dad have gotten closer as the years have gone by as well. I've looked up to him more as a role model, as a male role model for me. But my mom did a great job at the same time. She was always there. She was always nurturing. She was doing her thing. I look at Tish's parents and her mom and her dad. Real close to my in-laws, and they've done a wonderful job. So I'm very blessed to be around good role models all the way around. So I think that that's good, both mom and dad, in a different way, in a more nurturing way, maybe from the mom side, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Like
in that kind of way, but yeah, I think they're different, but they're paralleled. I think dads, you want to keep on that. If you have daughters, it's tough. All daughters, like the man's like, I want to carry on the name, that's like passed down from hey, I want to carry on that name. But I think that from dads is maybe that's the only difference, and I think dads want. Obviously I have one of each. So it's like, but I want to have a dad. I want to have a boy. Like I want him to be like me. I think all dads want that, but yeah, I think they're the same, but different. And I think that's a part of that communication piece of raising the kids too, is, what is the legacy that we want to leave, or we want to, teach them that they take with them. And they're going to take, whether it's same home, split homes, whatever that may be, one parent, both parents, the kids pick that up at some point, and hopefully we have given them those tools enough up to that point that they pick some of that stuff up, and they're gonna have to make their own decisions and fail on their own and pick up on their own and do all those things too. So yeah, I just think we have to do, like we talked about, do what we can do to the best of our knowledge. And I'm with Devo. Like, the horse is dead, it's been dead, but I'm still beating that sucker. Like, did you hear me? Did you hear me? Like, that it's dead, it's in the ground, but I'm still beating it. But I had to learn too that it's not always and Devo explains that perfectly, because it's me. Like, it's not always, my ideology or my thought process on how to do those things. That's the best way. And pulling that back and giving them a voice and giving them thoughts and, all those things, and actually conversating it through. So yeah, huge. And I just noticed that Eric, why does he have a subcategory called Daddy Bear?
Subcategory.
Why does he have a sub name that says
How'd you make that happen? I don't even know how that happened.
What is going on?
I'm not sure, but that came in because I had to set up a profile for the kids' Xbox. Yeah, that's where that came from. So now, like,
okay, Daddy Bear, let's set up that legacy, baby.
Well, we're running up here, Daddy Bear.
Hey, we go bowling. You got to put your name on the screen.
Yeah.
If yours is Daddy Bear, what in the world's going on? I ain't never bowling with you. Don't ever do like a podcast bowling night, because I ain't going.
Daddy Bear. That's what it is. It stuck. I was like, I don't know. Daddy Bear. Let's do it. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's it.
How about that right there? I think fear, there's so much fear. And you saw that in the comments, right? There's so much fear.
Yeah.
In being a parent. Yeah. I think back when we were young. Our parents didn't know where we were, what we were doing. We were just rolling. We were going,
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you can know exactly where they're at. You can know if, like we talked about before, Devo, you can see them on the map on a Friday night at Chapel Hill.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
Turn it off.
That's
Yeah.
true. I believe it. I don't want to know. I'm gonna put blind trust that they're gonna do the right thing. If I'm looking on there and it's 3 a.m. and they're still out on the streets, and I'm like going, what are they doing? Why are they doing this?
My dad
Trust
used to
stuff,
say,
though.
my
Blind
dad
trust, too.
used to say all the time to my mom, he said, I never had to worry about my kids because they were always calling you. They were always, wherever they were connecting with you. So I knew I could just ask you how such and such, and I would know what's going on. But if he ever got mad at us because we were maybe stepping out of pocket and know we were in the wrong, he would say, hey, your insurance is paid up. Go out there and act a fool if you want to, but your insurance is paid up. And that, that was a little sly way of saying like, hey, I care, but it's got limits now because everything's on you. And coming from a PK home, you knew right from wrong, and you were we were tripping. I know I was tripping.
I was tripping too. For sure.
So,
I was like, I'm leaving. I can do this on my own. My dad's like,
go ahead. Pack your bags. I'll help you.
You know how many times I left?
Yeah.
0.
One time, I moved out finally, 21, maybe 22. But I think that's the thing that Eric said. Like this, it's that PK world is a different world. We didn't have all those things. There was no Life 360, find my phone, whatever. It was like find a phone because the technology ain't even there yet. But it was like,
keep a cord in your pocket.
Like it's attached to the cigarette lighter in the car. And it ain't working if you get too far away. But I was doing the same thing, like calling in, like I would call from work or they would know where I was and checking in. But man, it's like now it'll drive you nuts. The worry and the stress of like, what time is it? Are they on their way? Are they going to the house? Are they coming to that? Like all that stuff is just, but that fear drives all that stuff. And it's, I was telling you I think I was on live last night, or maybe I was Sunday night, like faith and fear cannot coexist at the same time. You have one or the other. You can't have both. It's you either have to have faith that it's all going to work out, or you just live yourself in fear. You cannot have both. I don't think we were designed to have both. They're not meant to be felt at the same time. That's the good Lord knew what he was doing. Like with kids, he knows. It's tough.
Well, when you popped that on the screen there, I was really going to wait to hear what you all would say about that, having in some cases adult children, grown children, children that are about to be out of high school, because it's different being the caboose of the group with 11 and 7-year-olds, and when I come home they're home, or when I'm in the house they're in the house. And that's like when the alarm goes on, we say the prayers, they go to bed, I go to sleep. There is no fear in my house. I'm sleeping, and but I was very consistent about it. I didn't give you a spirit of fear, and he if he's called a Prince of Peace, I want a little bit of that. And I'm gonna wrap myself into that peace, and go to sleep. And we always, whether it's right or wrong, we sound like broken records in our homes. Like, encamp your angels around them, give charge over this house while we sleep, because they are ministering angels. Their purpose is to do their assignment, and it's to protect your home and protect you throughout the night. And then if we're so fortunate to get up, we give praise. We thank him for watching over the house and creating that security. But other than Aaron being on the phone at night because she's just on the phone all the time, I ain't thinking about that. Sleeping. I'm like, girl, get off that phone, please. Come on, get off the phone. Go to sleep.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I would definitely agree with that. But I tell you what, I agree, like, you can't have faith and fear. You just can't. I do believe that. But it's a whole lot easier to have faith when they K-12 and they still live in the house and you can lock the deadbolt than when they go to college. And it's not even so much them.
It's everybody else.
Like
It's everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, we live in a mucked up world, man.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. Like, think about those people who went to church on Sunday. You know, like
Yeah.
it's just like you just never know. You never know when somebody else has something. And so yeah, I rock hard with my faith. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But I still like I don't stay to an end of a high school basketball game or a football game. I leave with at least 3 minutes left, just because I know I used to be that knucklehead who 18 years old who just want to run his mouth for whatever reason. And just so like I, I try to be careful about the situations I put myself in
Yeah.
now. I might get one of you, but I don't think I can get three or
Right.
four of you.
But hey, but
But
Devo,
I'm definitely
Devo,
get one.
is that
One's good.
fear or is that wisdom?
Well, you can look at it either way you want to. You know, I think it is
Yeah.
wisdom. It is.
Yeah.
Like I make a choice to remove
Yeah.
Yeah.
myself just because I know the elements that I'm dealing with. And so like but man, I still like, baby girl in DC. Like that's like the capital of insanity up
Yeah.
that way, and you just never know what's gonna
Yep.
pop
Yeah.
off. And 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 I guess the only way to combat it is to stay prayed up,
Got
just
to.
because the world, we have no direct control over it. All we can try to do is keep whispering and just make smart
Yeah.
choices. Make smart choices. I've said that every day since they were 3 years
Yep.
Yeah.
old. And the majority of days that's come to pass. But you just I don't know, man. It's just the older I get, the differently I see
Yeah.
things. Like when we were at App, Eric, I wasn't scared of
Well,
nothing,
to the
man.
point
Like
that
you,
Christina says, I mean, was the
True.
world different back then than it is now? Or did we just, wasn't advertised as much? Do we know better back when you were at App and,
Everything's so instant right now. I mean, everything is obviously so instant, and the
so in our
world has
face?
changed. Technology, it's in our face all the time, and yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
that's it. I think that's part of it. The fear as being a
yep,
parent is we're so aware of the craziness that's out there, where
yeah,
you weren't quite as
yeah, yeah,
aware of the crazy. If you didn't watch the news, you didn't read the newspaper, you didn't know that something went on in a church in Michigan.
right.
It wasn't
You
in your
knew like 3 days
neighborhood.
later once it hit the USA Today. You didn't know till Friday, or
Yeah,
unless you knew somebody up there that was going to call you on that landline. You didn't know
yeah,
it then.
yeah.
yeah. That's right.
But I
And
think the world's always been a crazy place. I mean, you read back the Bible, you read back, history, all those things. I mean, they dealt with some stuff too. It
yeah,
just wasn't as
Yeah.
instant. It wasn't in our face to where, you said, like the thing that happened at the church, but think of like something smaller, like if there was an accident out on my road. I didn't know that unless I heard it or I left. Now it's like I can scroll and it's like, oh, you got that, everything about everybody. Like instantly, within a couple
Yeah.
hours, you can find out every single
oh
thing
man,
you
we were
want
at that.
about somebody.
Hey, at one of the crazy things, we were at the North Carolina football game against Richmond, and there was a alert on the phone. The whole stadium,
Yeah.
got that alarm, got that alert. It
That's
was crazy. And it was loud too. It was like, holy moly, this whole stadium just went off. You
uh,
know, we didn't
Josh.
have that stuff, right?
You about made me choke over here because you was talking about in the Bible days the world was crazy, almost crazier and stuff. Just today, I don't even know why I brought it up to the boys, but I was telling them about Sodom and Gomorrah. I said, Abraham was told, "Hey, go get your nephew, go get him, go get him, go get him." And I messed around
Today, kids,
talking
on
about
Tuesday around Taco Tuesday, we're going to talk about Sodom and Gomorrah.
I said,
Man,
don't look back. Don't look
Yeah.
back. And Evan's like, how does a person turn into salt? I said, like, I didn't write the book. I'll just tell you what it said. She looked back and he said, but why would God do that? I said, I don't know, but he wiped out a whole nation, like, and had to put a boat out there and start over again. It was crazy back then. It's
I told you, I've been listening to the Old Testament. Listen to that the story, man, they were whacking each other left and right.
Man, like people were dying by the 10,000s.
10,000.
10,000. Hey, the other
Thousands.
day he knocked out 185,000 at once.
Just yeah.
185,000.
Yeah. I know this is a professional dad podcast, but if you ever get a church party, put me on, man. It's crazy because the thing is like there's so much. Devo, you talking about it? I was reflecting of living in DC at the time, working with TM Self, and family was here. Man, I couldn't go to sleep. Now I sound hypocritical now saying it, but back then I was doing the same thing because I knew they were here and I was there. And it's just my mind couldn't connect with the fact that I know that they were going to be okay. I was just a flight away from getting back to them, and it was temporary. It was a go do a project, go get it in, get back home type thing. But I think that love that you have for your daughter and your daughters and your wife, it's not going to ever stop that I want to say fear, maybe worry about the situation. But I know you, man. You're a good dude, and I know what you have poured into your daughters. You literally have to sit on the couch, pray God, hey, she's gonna make a good decision, wise decision about who she's around, where she goes. To know that dad could roll up at any minute, have that thought that you just get on the flight and you're there. It's all of those things, and so I just know you, man. I know you, and I know how much you love your family, and so. I don't think there's anything wrong with having that feeling, but that's that passion as a father and a husband that you have, and it, like you said, it's different. And I recognize that, having the benefit of boys upstairs sleeping right now. I recognize that, and I know that, Lord willing, if he tarries, 7 years from now, we'll be thinking the same thing wherever Ethan chooses to go to school. I'm gonna have the same thing, launch or not. When he transitions out of this house, it's like, okay.
Oh yeah.
I want to go up there and visit. How long I'm gonna visit? So I feel you, Matt. You've experienced it, and they are experiencing it.
I'm still in it. You got Megan in DC. I got the same thoughts as Devo. I got Laney still, a senior at UNC, and UNC is still UNC. It's still college. And all that. I mean, there's nothing worse when your phone rings at 2 a.m. You want to talk about a jolt through the freaking body?
Yeah.
When you're laying next to your wife or you're on a trip traveling and the phone rings, and you're like, well, there's nothing good when your phone rings at 2 a.m.
Right.
There's nothing good.
Yeah, I know that.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
Her phone get the ring, and I'm like, what happened? Somebody got shot. Somebody shooting. What are they doing? So it happens. It's different perspective, but same scenario, because that phone rings at abnormal times. You don't know what's on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when you, like, Eric, I don't know if you got it when you were growing up, but like my dad's landline phone back in the day, like you only had a couple little volume notches, like back then with the house phone. I remember it going off, and if it rings after I've gone to bed, even then it's like, okay, nothing's good, but it was never for me. You know what I mean? It's different when you're different when you're a parent, but like it was, hey, somebody's in the hospital at the church, dad's got to go, whatever. But now that phone rings and it's like, not good, not good.
Yeah.
Man, it's hard being a parent,
bruh.
Hard being a dad,
bruh.
I mean,
but no greater joy.
No greater joy. That's the truth, right? And I think that Bible verse really says it good. No greater joy than children walking in truth. But that's us trying to guide them to that truth and laying that foundation, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's important, right? So, the question then becomes, right, I got it written over here, but and you've already talked about it a little bit, Eric. What practical ways can we plant legacy seeds, this week, in our lives? And it's hard when they're already gone.
Yeah.
You hope you did it, and you find your times when you can, put those into them and just lift them up, but you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I think that to answer that, sorry, Matt, to interrupt you, but like back where, what Devo was saying on beating the dead horse, like sometimes it's just those little moments, those little conversations. And that took me a while to realize that it's just those little conversations and not the big, like, let's put on a show and let's beat the horse. And do you understand what I'm saying? It's just sometimes those little conversations that are like, hey, A, B, C, D, or A, B, C, because D's too far, D, E, and F, like we don't need to go that far. And that's the stuff that they get. I think I've talked about it before, like just with Hudson and I, like with going to the grocery store, little stuff like that. Well, this is cheaper than this, but look, we get more, like some of that stuff that I'm like, okay, he's going to be financially frugal, or he understands the value of $1 when he goes to the store, or, why don't Dad, I have this pair of, so I think those little, and those aren't ones that I beat him over the head. Like, no, you're not getting those Pringles because they're $2.75. We need the 2 for $5. Like, it wasn't this big, huge lesson. It was like, hey, look at these. It was those like, hey, look at these chips. Look at these chips. Which one do you like? Look for this. No, those sort of things teaching the value of money. And I think that's my biggest thing. I wish I would have probably listened to or learned before, that sometimes it doesn't need the beating the dead horse or this big production to get your point across. Sometimes it's kind of like we talk, the Lord talks in a whisper and we can't hear him if we're yelling. Same thing. Our kids, our kids will listen to the whisper, but they can't hear us if we're yelling. So,
yeah,
that's so true.
I think the point, I'm going to put a spin on Amy's comment there. I feel like worrying about our kids shows the connection that we have with them. I think that's true. There's a but to it. When is worrying about your kids become too much, And I think that's one of the things that we have to really strike a balance, I've had Braden come up, and thank me for things that I did for him, that may have been a little, like overboard, but at the time he didn't see it that way. At the time I was too overbearing. I wasn't letting him live, those types of things. I think you really have to learn to strike a balance with your kids,
Yep.
And that's a hard thing, that goes back to that trust, and let them fall and let them skin their knees and do all that.
Matt, I didn't know where that butt was going, because last week y'all told me not to get on Amy. I didn't know where you were going with that. So I'm glad you cleaned that up, Amy. You cleaned it up. She's faithful. She's faithful.
No one fan. I mean, what do y'all think about that? Devo, really you. I mean, yeah, we kind of get on this, and even you, Josh. But Devo, you, I mean, how can you worry too much? Can you put too much on them?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. There's no good that comes out of worrying, right? And so, again, is it worry or is it wisdom? Like, literally, I had to get off of Life 360 just because it was too much. And I'll never forget. I can't think. What's your big boy who played for Duke, who went to New Orleans?
Zion.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He
Zion.
ain't big boy no more. He done lost all kinds of weight.
Yeah.
He's still got a fat head. But I'll never forget. No, actually, it even wasn't him. It was Elton Brand. He said the number one reason why you go to college is to make money. And I think yes and no, but a better reason why you go to college is to learn, right? And so college is that opportunity for you to be somewhat in the bubble and to gain knowledge. And so, like, I think at the end of the day, uh, you have to trust that your body at work is good enough,
True.
right? As a professional dad, or as a
that
dad,
point,
or
Devo.
as a.
Yeah. Go ahead, finish, and I'll say this.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I've witnessed this with all my kids, and y'all know this. When you go to college, you come out sprinting your freshman year. You might slow that sprint just a little bit your junior or your sophomore year. You might slow just a little bit more because you're growing up your junior year. And then by the senior year, like with my kids, they kind of were like, oh, I'm tired. I don't have time to go out. I got to study. I got to focus. And they start to hit that transition. Lainey's really in that transition. Megan was in it because she was studying for medical school. Braden might have kept a little bit more of the sprint going because, he was in the bubble a little bit more at Guilford. But, yeah, it's a growth process, to your point, Devo.
Yeah.
And you
Absolutely,
have that
definitely.
opportunity to go in the bubble. Even up there at App, UNCG, we were really, small school, but even up at App, you're still in the Boone bubble, and all that. And I don't know how it is for your daughter,
Be
Josh.
careful. Y'all ain't got no Savannah Joe's in Greensboro though. Let me tell you, that place will change your life. Savannah Joe's on a
That's
Thursday
funny.
night. Ooh,
That's
Jesus!
funny.
I still be repenting about that thing.
Live podcast in October from
Going to be in
That's
Greensboro.
funny. That's funny.
we're gonna be in Greensboro October the 9th.
Devo's going to be handing
Oh,
Bibles
God.
outside of the bar.
Yeah.
Savannah
That place set me
Joe's,
back
my goodness.
a year or two.
Man,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a blast from the past, babe.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
Mm.
Time.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that maturation process does catch up. Of course, me and Eric probably was a little late to that. It probably was our junior year where we was like, oh shoot, we gotta have a GPA so we can continue this fun train, right? And and so so it takes people different speeds to gain that, but I think eventually you get there, wherever there is. And yeah, we just gotta keep dropping those little nuggets, not preach to them, but keep dropping those little nuggets and just pray over our kids, man. Like that's the one thing that I'm taking away now is just prayer changes a whole lot.
Yep.
Like
I
Christina.
think and that praying for the kids too is praying for that peace for us. I mean, like, hey, God, like
Yeah.
I'm giving it to you. Like you want me to be faithful. You want me to have faith, but you're gonna need to take this fear. Give me some wisdom. Give me some, calm my mind, calm my heart, because they run like crazy sometimes.
Dude,
Yeah.
I shout out to my pastor Lee Stokes. On Saturday, he asked the men of the church. We had our quarterly breakfast. He asked us to download the Joseph Prince app, and being obedient, I downloaded the Joseph Prince app. I started listening to it. It's like a little daily devotional, real quick hitters. And today was about asking for wisdom, to seek wisdom and get an understanding, get wisdom. And man, I'm telling you, like that flow has been like life changing in just 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 days. Been a little life changing because the grace narrative, the living in a spirit of righteousness and knowing that you don't have to work so hard, work. You just have to recognize that God loves you. He absolutely loves us. And we're talking about unmerited favor. There are 3 things that have happened this week that it was a God thing. I know that it had nothing to do with Aaron and I. It was literally a God thing. But the timing of downloading the app, getting on the word, and really seeking the wisdom and understanding this grace thing, and that's like get off of the hamster wheel and rest. Put it in my hand, cast the burdens. We Pastor talked about casting the burdens onto him, and that thing has totally changed. Christina's comment in there about fathers having a heart about being head of the household. Some of that is just being able to yield and not be so hard-headed.
Yeah.
And
True.
literally understand your position is, in terms of as a father, is seeking wisdom and being vulnerable to ask. Like today, driving to work, listening to that thing, I said, Lord, I need your help. I don't know what you have in store for Tuesday, but whatever it is, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I've heard bits and pieces of everything you guys have said. And to me, when you asked the question about leaving that spiritual and moral legacy, it's like the things we need as fathers to sustain us, to give us that daily energy to make it, to continue to grind. But it's equally important for your children to have their own personal walk, their own personal. I love it. Nothing more than if I'm praying for the boys when they're going to school, but to flip it on them and say, hey, this morning, I need you to pray for what you want God to do for you before you get out the truck. Yeah. And to hear a 7-year-old to say, Lord, watch over my school, watch over, my teachers, watch over, and just the texture of his voice, I hear the sincerity. That to me is like just a little spiritual shout out right there, is that you get to the point where you're getting them to get into the habit of, Lord, protect me wherever I walk, whether it's DC, whether it's Chapel Hill, whether it's Virginia, wherever it is, that they can be able to. I used to say, and I'll be quiet, I used to try to, I recognized I lived off of my dad, my aunt, my grandmother, and my grandfather's faith for so long, into my 40s. I lived off of their faith and their currency and whatnot. And it wasn't until I got to the point where I said, I need to be able to experience this for myself. I'm glad they gave me a head start, but now it has to be my walk. And so I'm glad now that I appreciate Dad and others giving a head start, but this is on me now with kids, with a wife, with a community, but also being vulnerable enough to say, when I'm weak, you're strong. And I need to get out of the pole position and let you take the lead, take the reins.
I think it's what Sally said. I mean, I don't know if we could say it any better right there. I mean, it's up for us, the legacy, and it comes to what we can do. We can plant as many seeds as we can. We can set the example as parents, not just dads, but for us four as dads, but for everybody on here as moms and dads. We can really set the example. We can plant the seeds, and we can have a whole lot of faith, and we can pray. That's the way I look at it. We can pray. So that's my closing argument. Who's next? Go, Devo.
Let me go, because Eric, he said he'd be quiet, but you know what? He'll be talking again. And
he does.
And so
And he does.
I'm gonna tuck my chain in.
Daddy Bear,
here's
we'll
my
let you go
direct.
when Devo's done, Daddy Bear.
Stop it, please! Don't call no grown man.
It wasn't on the screen. It was gone for a minute.
Hey, my correlation or what's really what I'm really thinking about right now is the more fear that's in my life is the less amount of time that I spend with God. And so like I just recently got on this kick where, Sundays just isn't enough for me. You know what I'm saying? And so I get my little devotional, but like I gotta hear some word. So like, I started, getting down with, Michael Todd, Stephen down in Charlotte. And I put these guys like in a rotation where like every 2 days I need to hear a sermon just so that I can keep my mind fresh and anew. And I think I can't quote the verse because I'm not a PK, but we gotta keep our mind fresh. We gotta keep our spirit renewed on what's the most important thing. And so like that's when I really get down in the dumps the most is when I step aside and I'm not doing what I need to do to build my relationship with God too. So
yeah, I'll say the same thing. I mean, I started I'm on the Bible app, like going through the Bible in a year, and I get up every morning. I'm like, I had this thought of like, all right, I got to get the day going, and then I realized how many days I have missed, and I realized that the days I have missed, I can look back and go, man, it just wasn't hitting on much. So when I catch a couple of days up or trying to get back to where I'm supposed to be, if I miss that, I'm with you. I'm fearful all day. I worry. I'm biting my nails. I'm, pacing the floors. I'm doing whatever. But I think it's that, that calming peace of just that quiet time in the morning, just diving into the word. Hudson's asleep or Hudson's not here. And I sit on my couch. I have my little coffee and I'll just kind of just sit there. Sometimes I close my eyes and sometimes I'll just sit there and close my eyes and I'll fall back asleep and I'll have to go back and do it again. But I think I used to feel awful for that. It's like going to bed at night and you're praying. You're like, man, I fell asleep and I remember praying. I needed that. I needed that sleep, and he knew I needed that, but I'll pick back up. So I think sometimes it's like, that's it's just starting out that day. And if you don't spend that time there, the worry just kind of compounds, and then you pull it from the day before, you pull it from tomorrow. We're not supposed to worry about tomorrow. So I'm with you, Devo. I think starting out in the day is, man, it calms a lot of that anxiety and a lot of that worry. And what we're talking about is that being under fire. Like, did I do this wrong? Did I do this? Did I do this right? Can I figure this out? It kind of just doesn't eliminate that, because I think that's just human, where we just think that, but it's just kind of there in the background, not taking over. So,
Facts.
Eric.
he said, "No, I ain't saying nothing. No more. I'm done."
He's saying, "Get it out."
Nah,
Give it a second. Give it a second. It's coming.
Devo, you actually, when you came
I knew
on,
it was
no. When you came on, you talked about Sean, and my comments is ironic that we spent the whole time talking about legacy, and I've talked to several people this week, even tonight, just having conversations about him, having more conversations about App State, reminiscing about Justice Hall. Reminiscing about the infamous keg party. I mean, there's so many things. I don't want to name names, but just that whole hall where he lived on, that just how much fun we had on the second floor. That dude had an impeccable legacy. There are people that know him more than we do, and his family obviously know him even more than that. But just the life that he lived, the moment in time that we got to be around him. Those early years in the 90s were just like, to the person we saw on the sidelines a few years ago, and then obviously finishing up in Central Florida, that dude left a legacy that now we've been talking about him or something that relates to Appalachian State for the last couple of days, and there's almost like a numbness because he's not here with us, but at the same time it's this appreciation of connection. And friendship, and folks that were worried about his family, that have remembrance of Appalachian State football, and what that community meant to us, and what he meant in his own way to the teammates that he had, and the men that he led as a coach. And I think that sums it up for this conversation. When we reflect on this conversation we are having, is that will we have, not for ego, but will we have people remember us for those things, starting with our families and our communities and things of that nature. So I'm glad
will they carry on with our kids? Will they carry on?
Yep. So
yeah.
Prayers to his family during this time, and those who are still impacted, teammates, players, coaches, and other folks that knew him, because that was a great college teammate, sweet mate, person. Anybody that was connected to Sean and the team, the team during that time, that has been connected to him in present time when he was here coaching, and obviously at Central Florida, there's a lot of people impacted, and that's a life you want to live.
Yeah. That's a great way to end it. We'll end it there. Yep. Hey, up in the upper right-hand corner, you got about 2 seconds to go up there and click the QR code, join our community for the Professional Dads community. So good things are happening. We'll be talking about that a lot more in the next couple of weeks. But, hey, join us next week. Next week is Brothers in the Battlefield. So we're going to talk about Brothers in the Battlefield. It's going to be good. All right. Thanks for watching. We appreciate y'all. Keep coming back every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Later. Hello.